Tuesday Cafe. I'm Sean Canan, and we are broadcasting live on the 3rd of September, and we are going to be asking for your support today during Tuesday Cafe. Thanks to everyone who has donated during Democracy Now! Already, and I'm going to be thanking some people who have donated already to Tuesday Cafe. But right now, I'm going to ask for your support to support this show. We're going to tell you all about this show this hour, and you're going to hear some great clips from some of our recent shows, and you'll know why you're supporting this show. The number to call in and make a donation is 813-239-9663. You can also donate on our secure website, which is WMNF.org. Before we get to the show, I'm going to talk about that last headline there on NPR. Can you imagine you down 66 hot dogs in 10 minutes and you come in second place? That'd be kind of a bummer, I think, to have gone through all of that. Well, enough of that. We are trying to...
Vegetarian.
That's true. Even vegetarian, 66 vegetarian hot dogs would be pretty rough. All right, so we're raising funds here on Tuesday Cafe, and I'm going to tell you about some of the thank you gifts this hour that we have to offer you. I'm going to let you know that we need to raise $650 this hour, which I think we can do. I think with your help, we can do that. And with the help of some people who donated ahead of time, we have an anonymous contribution that already came in this morning for Tuesday Cafe to support this great community radio station, an $88.50 contribution from Anonymous. Thank you to Anonymous. And we also have a challenge of $88. So we will get this $88 if we get someone out there who can call in right now and donate at least $88. So thank you. It's an anonymous challenge. I see the person's name, but I'm not allowed to thank them on the air. So thank you to this person. And we are looking for the next person who donates $88 will essentially have their gift doubled to WMNF. 813-239-9663 is the number to call. And you can make a donation now to Tuesday Cafe with your contribution, and if you make an $88 contribution, it will be matched. Hey, look, I just got handed some information of people who donated during Democracy Now! So let these people inspire you to make your call as well. We have Linda from St. Petersburg. Lots of calls from St. Petersburg this morning. I'm so happy. And she's contributing $35 and is really grateful for Democracy Now! And WMNF. Here. Also, Arthur Bussey from Zephyr Hills is contributing $60. Says, I think this show is great. I like the station, pretty much everything. Thank you. So thank you for your donation. Also, Daryl from St. Petersburg is contributing $50. He says, if we don't have a well-informed society with truth, we won't have a democracy. You can't make intelligent decisions without knowledge. So thank you so much for all those contributions. That was a $50 donation. So Democracy Now! Is a little bit closer to its goal. I think it still came up a teeny bit short. We'll try to work on that over the next few hours as well if you support Democracy Now! Right now, I'm looking for people who are contributing, who would like to contribute to Tuesday Cafe. That's 813-239-9663. I'm Sean Canan, and I'm joined in the studio by Randy Zimmerman, our WMNF General Manager. Welcome, Randy.
Good morning, Sean. It's a great pleasure to be here and talk about community radio, not just community radio, but WMNF 88.5 FM, like this premier community radio station in the country. And it is so critical right now that independent media thrives, not just survives, but thrives in Tampa Bay and beyond, which we're able to do because of the World Wide Web. So many of you are listening to us right now because of streaming, and we need your support. So don't go away. Don't leave us. We're going to play some highlights of what Sean has been able to present for you on Tuesday Cafe, some of the smart, hard conversations that we need to have. And what's really cool is we've got so much locally produced news here that gets scrunched up into 1 minute, 30-second segments. And Sean's able to give you these longer form interviews. So you get to hear more, have more of a conversation, have more of a feel of what's going on in people's heads, because that's what we do here at Community Radio. Again, this notion is gone because we have one major newspaper in the Tampa Bay area, publishes twice a week, and has laid off 20% of their staff just last month. So independent media is going away. And if you want independent media, again, not just to survive, but to thrive, we need you to call us now at 813-239-9663 so we can keep WMNF 88.5 FM alive and thriving.
And speaking of independent media, I have had guests recently from independent media. Last week, the owner of The Gabber, which is a well-known newspaper in the Pinellas Beaches, Kathy Salustri, talked about her new book, Florida Spectacular, which was not just about Florida man stories. So that was something that we did last week. Some of the other shows that we've had recently, we talked about how Ireland has been at peace for decades, and we looked at the role that a Pinellas Beach bar may have played. That was on June 11th. If you want to go back and listen to that interview on WMNF.org, a very interesting story by a former local journalist here. We also heard from a Palestinian man whose family was separated. He and his two sons were in the Gaza Strip, but his wife and daughter had to be evacuated for medical reasons. And we heard from Governor DeSantis, and as well a response from Florida's largest teachers union and students about some education issues. And this interview is a segment that we're about to play, a segment about LGBTQ issues that we're going to talk about in just a second. But before we go to this 5-minute segment of interview, I want to tell you how you can support programming like this. We bring you these interviews because we have a community radio station that thrives because of your donations. So if you'd like to keep this going, if you'd like to keep this type of programming available, this is the kind of work that we do. We're going to hear right now the state of LGBTQ issues in Florida with Equality Florida's Director of Transgender Equality. I spoke with Angelique Godwin on June 18th, and here's part of that interview on WMNF Tampa. You can call 813-239-9663 to support programming like this.
I couldn't be happier with Ashley as a candidate. She, as a woman, is built her entire career on empowering other women, and she fights for equality on a regular basis through her personal business. And so I know that she is a strong candidate. I know that she's going to do absolutely amazing. And I think I can't wait to hear that. I think that it's time that we had somebody who represented the trans community in this light and in this way. And I think that she couldn't be a better representation for the community in itself.
And there's so many issues in Florida. I'm going to break in to mention that that's Ashley Brundage that she was talking about, who actually won her primary for State House. And so we'll be hearing more about that race in the weeks to come. Here's more of that interview. With the Florida legislature and with court challenges to LGBTQ issues. I'm going to try to run through some of these, and we'll get an update from you and see where things stand. So last week, a judge rejected a law that was restricting treatment for transgender Floridians. The 2023 Florida law and regulations associated with it prohibit the use of puberty blockers and hormone therapy to treat children for gender dysphoria and make it harder for trans adults to access care. So your thoughts on that law and the recent rejection of that law by the judge?
Yeah, so that would be the trans youth ban law that went into effect last year. And I'm so thrilled to find that it's permanently injunctioned so that it cannot move forward and it can't go forward. And it's found to be unconstitutional by the judge who reviewed it. And I think that that's an amazing move forward for our community. I think this is an unprecedented time where Florida continues to be under attack from DeSantis and the entire right-wing party. And it's been an onslaught of just unnecessary things going on. So to have this happen, to have this momentous thing just prove why we deserve to be here. And some of the things that the judge said were so wonderful and so poignant. I implore everyone to go and look it up. It's absolutely wonderful what he did and what he said. And I think that where we're at now, this is going to just help continue the momentum we have here in Florida. As a group, Equality Florida has been fighting. This year alone, we helped to overturn 21 of 22 anti-LGBTQ bills. And we were able to, change a lot from the previous year. The previous year, there were 17 laws that were passed. So with this momentum and having these things happen and people starting to realize that these laws are unconstitutional and they're not helping anybody and they're very harmful to people's livelihoods, it's so great to know that we're making the move forward in the right direction.
And in addition to, as you pointed out, the judge saying that the law was unconstitutionally discriminatory, the judge also said that the law and the regulations were motivated by animus towards transgender people, and he forbids state health officials from enforcing the law. The law carried heavy sanctions and potential jail time for doctors who violated the restrictions. So a judge sitting on a bench or writing a brief is saying that the law was motivated by animus towards transgender Floridians.
Yeah, I think like you hear something like that and you think to yourself, that's how we feel on the inside as a trans person. I felt I sat in a lot of those rooms. Me personally, right? I was there all last year and the year before. I listened to some of the things that were said by these individuals who have complete control over the safety of our lives, right? They can't control our lives, but they control a huge portion of how we're treated in the world on a day-to-day basis. So to have this judge not only rule against them, but also put that in plain wording, like that's in print. And I love that. That's forever. You know, that's a document that's going to be recorded in every way possible. So that's awesome for us.
Well, that is Equality Florida's Director of Transgender Equality, Angelique Godwin. She was speaking on WMNF's Tuesday Cafe in June, and you can go back and watch that full interview if you'd like, if you want to search on our website, WMNF.org. And we're going to bring you more clips as we go, but we're just kind of letting you know what it's like to support community radio, what kind of fantastic guests that we can bring on and interviews that we can bring you, because we want you to be informed in the community. We want to be informed, and so this is what we bring you, and you can help support that. You can become a member of WMNF Community Radio by calling 813-239-9663, and you can donate at WMNF.org as well. When you're there on WMNF.org, you can look at all of the great thank you gifts we have to offer. You can see what they look like and maybe pick out your favorite and make a donation there, or you can donate on the web at WMNF.org. Well, I want to thank this one that just came in is Alexa or Lexi Buford Johnson from St. Petersburg. I'm sorry, Lexi, for a $27.10 donation. Thank you so much. Says Wavy Davy Sponge Cake Wand, etc. Keep riding those waves. Ace you on the other side. So thank you for that $27.10 donation. Appreciate that, Lexi. We like that donation very much, and we're looking for your donation as well. 813-239-9663. If you support the kind of interviews that you hear, give us a call, or you can make a donation at WMNF.org. And Randy might have a favorite thank you gift to tell people about to encourage you.
I am just totally jonesing on the new artist T-shirt. So for a donation of $100, we can thank you with a limited edition artist T-shirt. I'm wearing our limited edition artist T-shirt from about 2 drives ago with this great butterfly on it. And when they go, they go. So for a $100 donation, you can get that artist T-shirt, and it's got our 45-year anniversary edition. We got this new logo, which is a great big burst, and in the middle of it, because we're going to be 45 years old, if you are so inclined to remember what it was like to have a 45 record and then try to put it on your 33 turntable, you needed a little adapter. So that little 45 adapter is in the middle of our burst to celebrate our 45th birthday, and also to remind us that it's an election year. It talks about you got to fight for your right. And what do you have to fight for your right to? Fight for your right to vote, choose, protest, and also, because we do a lot of music, go Ramones, party. You got to fight for your right for all of that. And we make note of that here at WMNF 88.5 FM. So give a call at 813-239-9663 and let us know that you want to fight for your right to vote, to party, and all that stuff, because actually we shouldn't have to, right? I was listening to a podcast. I was traveling over the weekend listening to a podcast how LGBT rights was this massive movement that really just started in 1969 in real earnest with the Stonewall riots, and how there's been this massive sea change of attitude here in the United States. And that doesn't happen without conversations. And that's what we specialize in here at WMNF, is having hard conversations. And also this notion that family members, no matter what your socioeconomic status is, what your ethnicity is, that's the kind of thing that permeates throughout. Someone knows a relative who's gay or a lesbian, or at least rumored to be, right? So they project that our divide over racial inequality and even misogyny is going to take longer than what it has taken for LGBT rights. However, that said, we just saw what happened with abortion. So this notion that we have rights and we have rights forever once that door is open, that is not true. And it's not true because we close our societies. Here at WMNF, we open up these conversations. If you want to maintain these conversations, if you want to keep these conversations going, hard conversations that change the rights of massive amounts of people in our country, give a call, 813-239-9663. Pick up that artist T-shirt. We've got a bunch of other things. I'm also personally getting that license plate surround so I can let people know this is where I sit. If you want to pass my car and want to know where I sit, I'm at the far left end of the dial every day of the week at 88.5 FM. Need to hear from you at 813-239-9663.
And that license plate holder, it goes around your license plate, and it's a frame, and it says Radioactive for 45 years because it's our 45th birthday this month. And you can get that for a one-time donation of $45 to if you donate to WMNF. The T-shirt that Randy was talking about earlier is available for a $100 contribution. So please make a donation right now, 813-239-9663.
Now, you have a favorite. You have a particular favorite premium.
I do have a favorite premium that I'll talk about in a few minutes.
Awesome.
How's that?
That sounds great.
And so stay tuned for that. But we do have some great thank you gifts this time, and I will be mentioning them as we go. I want to say that we've met the challenge. We haven't had an $88 challenge that came out there because we have a generous donation that came in. It's $25 a month on the Circle of Friends. So that means that this show is going to get credited $30. And this is in tribute. And I want to read this to you. This is a tribute to Nicholas Provenza. He was shot and killed in Tarpon Springs in 2017. And Lex Johnson says, "Rest in peace, my brother. I will love you until the end. Everyone here still cares about you and will keep your little brother safe." So that is the donation that came in from Lex Johnson talking about Nicholas Provenza. And if you want to find out more about Nicholas Provenza, you can go to WMNF.org and search for his name, Provenza. We reported on the tributes that were pouring in for him in 2017 when he was shot and killed in Tarpon Springs. So thank you so much for this very meaningful tribute and the generous donation to keep community radio going strong. It's your turn as well. You can make a donation to help keep impactful news coming to your ears and to your eyes. 813-239-9663. You can also donate at WMNF.org. Here are some of the other stories that we've been covering on Tuesday Cafe. We spoke to a licensed professional engineer who gave a series of webinars on behalf of the No Home Run group that opposed the Rays Stadium deal. We also talked to Hillsborough School Board member Jessica Vaughn about the new policy on electronic devices in schools and about other education issues. And we heard from former state representative Jennifer Webb, who is talking about her new group, the Sunshine State Unity Network and Protecting Democracy. Those are all interviews that you heard on Tuesday Cafe,
And on Tuesday Cafe, you've also played whole hog speeches and conversations from community school boards in the area, right?
Yep.
So that people could know and participate in what was going on regarding book banning and a variety of other important issues, as well as some other debates that have been taking place. What are some of those things that you've aired?
Yeah, so since it was election season, on election day, primary election day, just a couple of weeks ago, we heard from I'm trying to find what it was. Sorry. It was most of the candidates who were running for Congress in Florida's 14th and 15th district. We heard that on primary election day. And then within the last few months, we've also heard 7 candidates who are running for the Florida House. We heard a debate about that, their debate, that is. And we also are, as I mentioned earlier, we talked about the Rays Stadium deal. And I had on a critic. He's St. Pete City Council member Richie Floyd, and he talked right after the vote about why he voted against the new Tampa Bay Rays Stadium. We're going to hear that. It's only about 3 minutes long. We're going to hear that in just a second, but I want to remind you that if you support programming like this, give us a call, 813-239-9663, or make a donation at WMNF.org. Here's Richie Floyd, City Council member in St. Petersburg.
I think it's about $300 million from the county and $287.5 million from the city. And the city's contribution is coming from a variety of sources, but ultimately it's your tax dollars. And that $287.5 million turns into about $500 million when you factor in the interest that we're going to pay on the project over the next 30 years. So yeah, over 30 years, about $500 million from the city. And that's been what my main contention was with the agreement, is that, there's no evidence that stadiums are a good investment for cities. As a matter of fact, the last study I saw said that people should stop studying the issue because it's settled science. If you want to create economic impact in a city, you might as well put a Macy's, because they have just as much economic impact as a professional sports stadium does. And so when St. Pete has so many needs and can spend this $500 million however it pleases, this is not tourist tax dollars. I just can't justify spending so much money on a baseball stadium.
Our guest is St. Petersburg City Council member Richie Floyd. He was one of 3 city council members to vote against the Rays and Hines deal with the city to build a new stadium and the new redevelopment around what's called the historic gas plant district. So part of the deal, once this is finished, and we'll get to the remaining hurdles in a moment, but the Rays will get the ticket sales, the concessions, the naming rights, and the broadcast money through this deal. The city will no longer get a share of ticket sales. So even though the city of St. Petersburg is contributing a lot to the construction, that is, of this new baseball stadium, the city's actually losing out, because currently, during the deal that ends in 2027, the city gets, I think it's 50 cents per person who goes through the turnstiles.
Yeah, in this new agreement, we get absolutely no revenue at all. Zero revenue from the stadium, zero revenue from tickets, parking. We don't even get to name the stadium, and we don't get the money from naming the stadium, even though it's publicly owned. And so that's been a big contention for a lot of people. There's no revenue sharing. We're putting money in and nothing's coming back to us. And so when you focus specifically on the stadium, it's a big issue. And, there's a broader development around it, but there's no reason we couldn't get a broader development around it without subsidizing the stadium. And so that's been what a lot of people have been upset about and continue to point out throughout this process.
Well, that is St. Petersburg City Council member Richie Floyd speaking on WMNF's Tuesday Cafe on July 23rd about the Tampa Bay Rays stadium deal that he voted against, but it did pass the St. Pete City Council and it passed the Pinellas County Commission. That deal is going ahead. It's going to happen. And he was telling you why he was opposing it. And this is Tuesday Cafe on WMNF Tampa, and we are looking for your support. If you appreciate interviews like this, give us a call, 813-239-9663. We really only have about $200 or so to raise this hour left because of our generous donations so far. So you could be the hero and put this show over the top with your $200 contribution, or maybe you can make a $10 a month donation on the Circle of Friends, or $5 a month, or $20 a month. Give us a call, 813-239-9663 or WMNF.org, and help to keep information like this flowing on the airwaves in Tampa Bay.
What I love about this story is it's again one of those development stories that just needs a little bit more meat to it, right? It's not just about they're going to take down the stadium where the Rays play and put in something else. It's how does the community participate? And it's only through shows like this, like Tuesday Cafe, like WMNF at 88.5 FM, like what Sean does here at every Tuesday at 10 a.m., and we can have that conversation so that people are informed, and when they go to these meetings, which we tell you about, that you have something to say. You have information. You know it's in that contract. It's not like people are working in back rooms trying to get these deals done, because you've got WMNF here sharing what needs to be known in your community. So if you believe that community radio, if you believe that you want to be informed, if you believe that you should be empowered to participate in the development of your community, we need to hear you at 813-239-9663. And if you want to take us over the top for a $245 donation, which you can split out over time, you can get our what's called the WMNF People Power Pack. So you'll feel really empowered with our People Power Pack, especially since it's election season. You get a bumper sticker, you get a water bottle, you get a flag for your car, you get a pen, you'll get a mini fan, you'll get a button that says people have the power, kind of reminiscent of some great music here at WMNF, because this is what we do here. We have news and music and everything else at 813-239-9663. Keep this powerful people station running.
And that People Power Pack is available for a $245 donation to community radio, and you can see that on our website, WMNF.org, or you can call 813-239-9663. You can talk to one of our lovely phone bank volunteers, and they'll tell you all about everything. And as Randy mentioned, I do have a favorite thank you gift, and that is the Emergency Crank Radio. This is available for a $188.50 contribution. Now, here's why you should have this. It's hurricane season. We might get stuck in a hurricane. You might lose your power for a day or 2 days or 3 days. It's happened before. We all hate it. But one thing that would make it better is to be able to contact the outside world, because here's what you can do with this Emergency Crank Radio. You can listen to AM, FM, so that means you can hear WMNF broadcasting 24/7, giving you the latest hurricane information or cleanup information. It also has a weather band radio, so you can hear the latest from the government about the weather. It also has a flashlight. It is charged by either a solar panel or a crank, and it has a long-lasting battery that you can recharge using the crank or the solar power, and you can charge your mobile devices with the USB outlets. So this has everything you're going to need for those emergencies that, let's face it, are nearly inevitable in the Tampa Bay area. So be prepared now. Get prepared for hurricane season. Right now, you can call 813-239-9663 and tell one of our phone bank volunteers, Lisa or Alita, you can say, hey, can I get one of those Emergency Crank radios as a thank you gift? Here's my $188.50 contribution. So, and they will say, yes, of course. Or you can do this online at WMNF.org, because quite honestly, you do need to get an emergency radio for your hurricane kit. And this one has all the features you're going to want.
I love it. And I have one myself. I'm a camper. So I have a crank radio. And also when I've been here during storm season and power has gone out to tens of thousands around the Tampa Bay area, they will call into the station and say, thank you so much for being here for us. Can you tell me when the winds are going to come in? Can you tell me when the next high tide is going to take place? Can you play this song because I'm feeling a little down? And we take requests because we are live, local, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and I don't know of anybody else in this Tampa Bay area that is here for you during those storms, whether it's giving you news that you want to hear on demand, whether it's listening to a song that you want to hear on demand. We are living this moment with you. If you need to keep this on the air, if this is something that's been around for you, if you're one of those people who cranked us up on the radio during one of those storms, please give us a call, 813-239-9663. If you're one of the fabulous people who are streaming us right now, hit the Donate Now button on the top right of the homepage. Top right corner of the homepage, just hit Donate Now and contribute to your favorite radio station, the news and views and music that keeps you connected to the independent, vibrant culture that is our country. 813-239-9663.
Well, while you're considering getting that Emergency Crank Radio for $188.50 contribution by calling 813-239-9663, I'm going to tell you about some of the other programs and interviews I've done to make your donation happen, and vice versa. Your donations help to keep these types of interviews coming. For example, we heard tips to prepare for hurricanes and other emergencies when you're caring for older adults. And we also discussed Tropical Storm Debbie, which was turned into Hurricane Debbie, and its impacts on Florida and the Tampa Bay area with the Florida Public Radio Emergency Network. That was a show on August 6th, so you can go back and listen to those tips for caring for older adults. Also, we heard from a coalition of faith groups that want the Hillsborough County Commission to fully fund affordable housing. So if you think affordable housing is an important issue, we've covered it here. We'll continue to cover it. And here, right after a judge granted former President Donald Trump immunity for any official acts while he was in office, we spoke with Chara Torres Spellacy. She is a law professor at Stetson University College of Law in Gulfport. And here's a little bit of what she had to say about the immunity decision here. And I want to remind you that you can call in right now. We only have about $200 to go. You can help us get there, 813-239-9663 or WMNF.org. Here's Chara Torres Spellacy, professor of law at Stetson.
So I have been writing about Trump's ongoing criminal liability in my new book, Corporatocracy. And I think all of the fears that I laid out in that book sort of came to pass with this presidential immunity decision from the Supreme Court. The court gives a new and broad immunity to core presidential powers. They didn't go as far as Trump wanted. So Trump wanted the entire case thrown out, and they didn't do that. But they helped him enormously. Number one, they helped him with the timing of all of this. Jack Smith had originally asked to expedite this case. He knew that this would end up in front of the Supreme Court, and he, sort of pleaded with them, can you please give me an expedited hearing on this? And the court refused. They said, go back to the lower courts, litigate it there, and then if it comes to us, it comes to us. So he does that. He wins with Judge Chutkan. He wins in the D.C. Circuit, who both come to the, I think, perfectly logical conclusion that ex-presidents are not categorically immune. It goes to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court hears it on the last day of hearings for this Supreme Court term. Then they sit on the decision until the last day for decisions to be issued in this Supreme Court term. And we finally got that decision yesterday. It is earth-shattering in terms of the powers that it gives all presidents, including President Biden. I said a lot, so let me pause there.
Yeah, I want to remind people that we're speaking with Stetson University College of Law professor Chara Torres Spellacy on Tuesday Cafe. I'm Sean Kinane, broadcasting from the studios of WMNF in Tampa, and we're talking about yesterday's historic decision by the U.S. Supreme Court. So one of the things that I guess the main thing it did is that it granted presidents absolute immunity for official acts as president. So let's specifically look at the Trump case here that we're talking about. What is former President Trump charged with, and how could this impact that trial and also the timing of that trial?
So he is charged with interfering with the 2020 election. There were many different octopus legs to that crime. So one of the things that he stands accused of doing is helping to orchestrate the fake electors attempt. So in many different states, there were dueling slates of electors, one that was legitimate and for Joe Biden, and then there were these fake electors who pretended that they were real electors, which is in itself is a federal crime, and now we are finding is a crime in several of the states because there are ongoing criminal prosecutions in multiple states over the fake elector scheme. So that was one aspect of all of this. He also tried to gut the DOJ and have the DOJ seize voting machines. There was a strange moment in there where he had tried to appoint Sidney Powell as some sort of voting czar to investigate the election. And this is all after courts had already rejected every plausible legal way of dealing with the results of the 2020 election. Like, he had his day in court. He just utterly failed because he didn't win that election. And then there are the January 6th problems. So on January 6th, he has this huge crowd that he has encouraged to come to D.C. through a series of tweets and other public statements. Then he gives an incendiary speech to that crowd. Some members of that crowd then break into the Capitol in a violent way that injures over 100 members of law enforcement. And then he sort of does nothing for hours to stop the violence of this crowd or their object. And one of their objects seemed to have been, if we're going to take their word for it, they were trying to hang Mike Pence. And the reason that they were trying to hang Mike Pence is there had been enormous pressure put on Pence by Trump and some of his lawyers to interfere with the lawful and constitutionally mandated count of electoral college votes on January 6th. And I have to give credit where credit is due. Mike Pence didn't do that. And so one of the sort of charges here is, the plot to essentially pressure the vice president into breaking the law and breaking the Constitution.
Well, that is Chara Torres Spellacy, a professor of law at Stetson University College of Law in Gulfport. She was speaking on July 2nd on Tuesday Cafe, brought to you by WMNF, about the Supreme Court's decision to grant Donald Trump immunity for most official acts in office. And this is important information. If you are happy that we're talking to law professors about this and that you'd like us to continue, that would be great if you could show us support for this show and for this station. Here's the number to call and to make a donation, 813-239-9663, or WMNF.org is the number and the website that you can call. You can talk to one of our great phone bank volunteers by calling 813-239-9663, or you can make a donation on our website and not have to deal with anyone. You can just put in your information. It's a secure website. It'll take you just a couple of minutes, and you can see all the great thank you gifts we could offer you for your donations. 813-239-9663 or WMNF.org. One of the thank you gifts that we can offer you, or a few of them, are for concerts that WMNF is putting on. For example, we have WMNF's Halloween Ball, which is Friday, October 18th at New World Tampa. You can celebrate Halloween with local drag performers, DJ Jet, and host Apollo Infinity. And don't forget the annual costume contest. That's October 18th. You can get a pair of tickets for a $40 donation. Sorry, for a $50 donation. I apologize. Thank you so much for that. If you are willing to donate $50 and go to our Halloween Ball, it should be fun. We also have on October 5th, which is a Saturday, our 5th annual Tom Petty tribute. So for an $88.50 contribution, you can go to Skipper's Smokehouse on Saturday, October 5th, and celebrate the music of Tom Petty. And then we have coming up the Ultimate Talking Heads tribute from WMNF, Stop Making Sense. It's Saturday, November 2nd at Skipper's. Local bands will perform the best of the Talking Heads, and that's available for an $88.50 contribution as well. So if you'd like to go to some WMNF shows, give us a call and we will hook you up with your donation. 813-239-9663.
Always a really good time to be at Skipper's Smokehouse and enjoy some of these WMNF tributes. Not only do you hear great music from great local bands, you get to hang out with your friends and smile till it hurts. So I highly recommend coming to these events. And again, you can buy those tickets online, or for an $88.50 pledge, you can get a pair of tickets that you were going to go to anyway. 813-239-9663, or again, WMNF.org, and hit the donate button on the top right-hand side of your page. Again, want to pitch and let you know that we really need you to hit that ball that I'm throwing at you right now. 813-239-9663 to keep community radio not just alive, but thriving here in the Tampa Bay area and beyond. We have oodles of folks who listen to us in the Tampa Bay area who are streaming us, but we also have folks in Miami and Orlando and Sweden and all up and down the East Coast, as far west as Denver and California. Thank you so much for joining joining us because you recognize the value of the information that you're getting here at Community Radio. And we need you to hit that donate button at WMNF.org or give us a call again, 813-239-9663. Show your WMNF pride. Get a T-shirt. Get one of the new limited edition artist T-shirts with the nice big burst and the 45 disc in the middle because it's our 45th year, September 14th. Join us at our birthday bash. That'll be a great time with the Dolly Rots. You can also pick up a pair of tickets for that as well. And that's
available in our birthday bundle for a $100 donation. You can get 2 general admission tickets to see the Dolly Rots at the WMNF birthday bash that's coming up in about a week and a half or so. And then you can get a
beautiful Floridian in downtown St. Petersburg.
You get a window cling and a license frame with that. So that's a great bargain for a $100 donation for a pair of tickets and the rest of the bunch for the birthday bundle. And I want to thank a donation that just came in. And with this donation, now we only need about $150. So it's very doable. In the next 15 minutes, will you be the person that donates that $150 and that helps to keep Tuesday Cafe over the top right this morning? This $35 donation comes in and says, Sean and Randy do an amazing job at WMNF. Thank you. That's very sweet of you to say. And I know it's not easy because working with all those volunteers is often like wrangling cats. Okay. I especially appreciate your coverage of the New College of Florida debacle. Thank you for saying that. And we did earn an award for that. And this person says he is still upset about it. He used an FCC violation word, but I'll clean it up a bit. He said he was relieved that there has been good media coverage of Richard Corcoran and his band of grifters. And this is signed David, Mr. White Pepper Bryant. So David, thank you so much for that donation. David. Now we only need about $150. Will you help us to get there? 813-239-9663 or WMNF.org. And
as David said, we are very, very much volunteer powered. Basically, of the 68 hours of radio that we have every week, probably about 150 of them are done by volunteers, and cannot thank the folks enough, including all the volunteers who do all the behind-the-scenes work that happens at WMNF. Basically, WMNF does not function without volunteers. Our budget would need to be 10 times what it is in order for us to function. But every dollar counts, and we squeeze that nickel about 5 times to make it work here at WMNF, and we really need your support. Again, WMNF doesn't just survive, it thrives because of listeners like you who contribute to our community, who are part of our community. You are part and parcel of what we do here at WMNF, and if you haven't been to the station, please come. Please come see our 10,000 square foot facility that the people built. I call it all the time, the house that the people built, unlike many of the other government buildings. Started it in 2003, started breaking ground in 2004, 2005, up and running, 15-year mortgage paid off in 7. Very, very proud of this house that has 6 studios, better than basically any broadcast facility in the area, in part because broadcasters from around the area came to the building and helped us build it because they said very simply, this is the way radio should be. And if you want us to not just survive, but thrive, we need to hear from you at 813-239-9663 or hit the Donate Now button at WMNF.org. And if you're listening on the app, at the bottom of your app, you can also hit the Donate button. Don't want to forget all you folks who are streaming us on the app. Again, hit that Donate Now button because we need your support as well.
Well, here's more reasons for you to donate. I'm going to tell you more of the programs that we brought to you in the last couple of months on Tuesday Cafe. Well, we're revamping our HD3 schedule, which is our 24-hour-a-day news and public affairs show on WMNF HD3. And so I was trying out some programs there, and we brought you the Ralph Nader Radio Hour during Tuesday Cafe to see how people liked that. And also we brought you the second hour of Democracy Now! When they were broadcasting from the RNC. That was an experiment we tried there as well. We also heard last week, we heard about from the 2 members of the Uhuru 3. Their trial starts today. We heard from Amalia Yeshitela and from Jesse Neville. And they were talking about when their houses were raided in St. Petersburg and St. Louis and the trial that they're going on trial for today. And we also talked to the ACLU of Florida. It turns 60 next year, and they're welcoming a new executive director. So we talked to their longtime executive director, Howard Simon, who we're going to hear from in a minute, and from Bacardi Jackson, who is the new executive director at the ACLU of Florida. We're going to hear a short clip from that interview where they're talking about Amendment 4, reproductive freedom, which is on the ballot in November. So before we hear this clip, I want to remind you that if you support programming like this, you can call 813-239-9663.
All right, I just want to remind folks that when Sean talks about a short clip, he's talking about a 3-minute clip. And that in mainstream media is about a really, really long feature. So here at WMNF, again, you get not just a half hour or an hour. You also very often get to call in and talk to folks who are important to the community, important to the way we think around the country. And again, that only happens with your support. So the short clip is 3 minutes long. And again, you get so much more here at WMNF to really help you think, develop your thoughts, develop what you would like to do, because, again, we provide information that empowers you.
So here is the ACLU of Florida, Bacardi Jackson and Howard Simon, talking on WMNF. And we only need $150 this hour to reach our goal. So please call your donation in right now, 813-239-9663. You can also donate on our secure website, WMNF.org.
Right now, we have our entire organization is all hands on deck to pay attention to what is happening to the loss of reproductive freedom in this state. You know, as I mentioned, I am a mother, I have a daughter, and it is incredibly disheartening to me that she may exist in a world where she has less freedom than I did. I stand on the shoulders of civil rights activists who are my parents, and I know it is my responsibility to deliver to my child and my children and everyone's children a more free place, not a less free place. And what is happening right now with Amendment 4 on the ballot is that we are seeing the government again come in and attempt to undermine the great momentum, the will of the people. We know we have well over 60% of the people, which now is this unbelievably high threshold that has been imposed on the citizens of the state in order to amend the Constitution. But we know we have over that, but the government is attempting to confuse voters. We have been having this fiscal impact statement battle that I don't know if a lot of people are aware of, but they should be aware of. And the first fiscal impact statement that was written was declared by a court to be unconstitutional. It still referenced a 16-week ban, a 12-week ban in order to confuse voters. It had no other purpose than that it was not amended as the law changed to what's called a 6-week ban, but is in actuality much less than 6 weeks. And so we saw in the midst of that battle where we had won that case and the state appealed, the state then took the opportunity to have 3 additional convenings of the FEIC. And that's the body that determines what the fiscal impact statement is. Now, that body usually is just looking at, pretty mundane, objective kinds of facts about fiscal impact. It's economists. It's people who crunch numbers. And on that body is one of the state's greatest economists. But instead of continuing with the body that existed, the state, DeSantis and the legislature came in and put in 2 new members to that body. One of them, someone from the Heritage Foundation, and another person who's a political crony who had a certain mission to come in and make sure that language was as confusing as possible. And so what we see now is this language that is deeply, deeply prejudicial, that is confusing, that is misleading, that follows none of the constitutional principles that the court laid out very clearly for the state that was required for this fiscal impact statement. And so we see a statement now that is not at all based in fact or objectivity or really looking at any kind of financial impact, but it was designed to try to scare people. It is designed to bring up things that are completely speculative, nothing at all to do with any of the objective principles that you write impact statements for, so people can make a decision fairly and honestly. And so this current impact statement is making references to things like the possibility that there may have to be state-funded abortions. There's absolutely nothing about the amendment that would require that or that would go into that direction. They are making insinuations about whether or not parents will be involved in children's decisions. There is nothing in the amendment about that. And so these speculative statements are meant to confuse voters. And we want to make very, very clear that we are doing everything we can. We've been part of an incredible, powerful coalition called Floridians Protecting Freedom. We are very excited to sit at the table with many organizations who care about this freedom, who care about pregnant people. And we also understand that this battle is critical, not only for Florida, but for the ecosystem of access to abortion. We are, as Howard mentioned earlier, the only state in the Southeast that has a citizen-initiated process to amend our Constitution. And we are surrounded by states that have total bans. We are it for the Southeast. This opportunity is it for the Southeast. And so it is such a critical battle. We want to invite people to join us in it, to make sure they are paying attention. The language on the ballot it may be confusing. We are still fighting it. We're out in front of the Supreme Court now with a motion, hoping to get some justice in that regard. But if we don't succeed and that horrific language is on the ballot, we need to educate people. So we need people to share information about what is Amendment 4. The actual summary is the first 75 words, and everything else after that is state propaganda to undermine it.
And Howard, anything as we close?
That was eloquently put. I think in this period of time, the ACLU is probably one of the most important organizations in the country, certainly in Florida, where we're fighting back against authoritarian public policies. We are so needed right now. And what you just heard from is our new leader, Bacardi Jackson. And I hope your listeners will get to meet her going forward, and she will be a very important, inspirational leader for the cause of defending true freedom, not the governor's manipulated understanding of freedom, but real freedom for the people of Florida going forward.
Well, that was Howard Simon, the longtime executive director of the ACLU of Florida. And before that, we heard Bacardi Jackson, who is their incoming executive director. And this interview was on Tuesday Cafe, August 13th. If you want to go back and watch it, it's on our website, WMNF.org. It's just one example of many of the types of interviews that we do here on Tuesday Cafe. And we think that it's worth supporting. So if you agree, if you would like to show your support for programming like this, please give us a call and make a donation. Here's the number, 813-239-9663. You might also make a donation on WMNF.org, which is our secure website. Good news is for this show still needs only $112 to make our goal in the next 4 minutes. So we're looking to hear from you. And maybe I see a person on the line. I don't know if this is a donor or not, but let's assume it is. Maybe they're making a $50 donation. That means if that's the case, then we only need maybe about great. I made myself do math in my head. Like $75 or something so if you make a $75 donation, I would bet that would put us over the top. So we're looking for somebody out there who can make a $75 donation, or maybe you want to bump it up to $88.50 and get a water bottle with a cooling towel and phone stand. That's available for an $88.50 contribution. But the best gift of all is to know that community radio is surviving and thriving, as Randy has said.
We really need your support. Again, thankfully, this show is really close to goal, and you can be the one that takes us over the edge at 813-239-9663 to keep community radio on the air. WMNF, your community radio station, here for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365, bringing you the news and views that you love. You just heard from Howard Simon, one of the great civil rights folks, voices in this country, with the ACLU of Florida, talking about the new person coming in, giving quite the glowing endorsement. So at least we know the ACLU is going to make it through to the next generation, speaking truth to power and bringing court cases when they see problems coming up. And we will be here for you at WMNF to talk about that always. But if you want more than just average everyday talk that you can get on a variety of other places or other outlets, but you want the vibrant conversation that you get here at WMNF, hard conversations, and occasionally even opportunities to talk to the people who are in power. We do that here at WMNF. We do it here on Tuesday Cafe because Sean has the vision and the wherewithal and the energy to put really great people in front of you right here at 88.5 FM. Need to hear from you at 813 239-9663. Or again, hit the Donate Now button, whether you're at WMNF.org or on the app.
I'm still looking for our first emergency conscious person to call in and make a donation and take away one of these hand-cranked solar-powered radios, emergency radios that has an AM, FM, and a weather band, and a flashlight and a USB charging station. This is available for a $188.50 contribution to community radio. If you make that donation and you take this thank you gift, you will help to put Tuesday Cafe over the top today, making its goal. That would be great. We'll be the first show this drive to make the goal, hopefully not the last. It would be. We would really like to make this goal because it helps to keep the other shows on from not getting behind. We don't want to be contributing to the other shows having to pull more of their weight just because we didn't. But I think our listeners so far have stepped up to the plate. So we're looking for that final push over the finish line in the last 10 seconds of the show before we go to NPR News headlines. Hey, support Wavemakers, which is coming up next with Janet and Tom. Thanks to everyone who contributed. Calling
Thank you
now.
so much.
WMNF.org.